Warning: the following reading contains subject matter that may not be suitable for younger audiences. Most, if not all, creepypastas are works of fiction and are made for entertainment purposes. However, they do contain dark material. This is your last chance to head to a safer part of YouTube. If you are still here by the end of this warning, then turn the lights down, turn the volume up, and let the stories begin. The Alice killings remain, to this day, one of the strangest and unsolvable serial killings in Japan. From 1999 to 2005, a series of 5 killings took place. The 5 killings might have been completely different, if not for the calling card that the killer left at each crime scene. He would leave a playing card, it varied from killing to killing, at each scene in an obvious location that had Alice written on it in the victim's blood. Very few clues were found at each crime scene, and eventually the case went cold. Below are details of each killing. Sasaki Megumi. The first victim was Sasaki Megumi, a 29-year-old owner of a restaurant. Those who knew her had described her as a headstrong woman with a short temper and a sharp tongue when dealing with her employees. She was known by her customers for fine cooking and her dedication to her job. Outside of her job, Megumi was very social and often went to parties. It was at one such party that she went missing. She decided to walk home from her friend's house, seeing as she was only a block from home and she was a bit too drunk to drive. Several people offered to drive her home, but she shrugged it off. She was seen leaving the party at 1 in the morning, and this is the last time she was seen alive. The next morning, a couple walking in the woods about a mile from Megumi's house saw a large amount of blood on an overgrown, unused path. Curious, they followed it, where they found Megumi's body. She had been torn apart, her parts impaled on various tree branches. The couple called the police. It was the police that found the playing card crammed into Megumi's mouth. It was a jack of spades, which had the word Alice written on it, as previously mentioned. There were no fingerprints or any DNA to be found. There was vomit on the scene, but the female of the couple admitted it was hers. Yamane Akio. Yamane Akio was a barely known singer in a band that never played anything more than at various bars and community functions. His friends described him as a kind-hearted man who would never raise his voice off stage. After his death, his band fell apart, not having the heart to find a new singer. Akio was abducted from his apartment on February 11, 2001. His bandmates were the last to see him alive, as he had practiced with them earlier in the day. That night, his girlfriend came to visit him, and was surprised to find the house empty. Within days, a missing persons report was filed, and the search for him began. On the security footage of the apartment, a hooded figure could be seen entering through a side door and leaving with a large garbage bag that bulged strangely. This strange appearance was never accounted for, and no one saw the strange man in person. This man is widely believed to be the killer, but his face was never shown, and there appears to be some doubt. The following week, the owner of the bar Yashida's, where the band had often performed, was opening for the day, and was met with a grisly sight. Slumped at a table was Akio's body. His vocal cords had been ripped from his throat, and he had been shot in the head. His Alice card was the King of Diamonds, and was found clutched in his hands, along with his ruined vocal cords. Kai Sakura. A teen girl, Kai Sakura had her whole life ahead of her. She was a sweet girl and well loved by her classmates and relatives. She wanted to go to college to be a fashion designer and was a week away from graduating high school when she was abducted. Sakura's family went frantic trying to find her, and the whole town was combed for the lost girl. Her body was found 2 days later, buried in a shallow grave. It didn't seem that the killer wanted her hidden. On the contrary, he had marked her grave with her Alice playing card, the Queen of Clubs. It had been taped to a stick and stuck on the top of the grave. Sakura's body had been horribly mutilated. Her eyes had been carved from her body, her skin was flayed, and her mouth had been carved open. A crown had been sewn to her head, likely while she was still alive. No sexual crimes had been committed, either pre- or post-mortem. Along with Sakura's body was a note, written in straggly handwriting. It contained many disjointed phrases, some of which were unreadable. Death is a distorted dream, she will forever rule, and those which die are the lucky ones. Were various phrases that had been written, among others. A match to the handwriting was never found. Oshiro, Hayato, and Hina. These two were the last of the killings, and least gruesome. Hayato and Hina were siblings, and very close. Hina was the elder sister, and was very stubborn. Her younger brother, Hayato, was very smart, and had skipped a grade, causing him to be in the same class as his beloved sister. The two rarely fought, as most siblings tended to do. The two were found dead in their beds on April 4th, 2005. The cause of the death was lethal injection. The children's bedroom window was open, and it was deduced that the killer snuck in quietly enough to kill the two without waking them, then snuck back out. Each child held half of an Ace of Hearts playing card that, when put together, spelled out the word Alice. One very smudged footprint was found on their carpet, but closer inspection was made impossible by the severe damage done to the print. This was the only piece of evidence, other than the playing card, that was left at the scene. A year later, the mother of Hayato and Hina committed suicide out of grief. Their father, who is still alive to this day, is going through extensive therapy to get over the death of his entire family. At this moment, he is extremely depressed and heavily medicated. Aftermath. Shortly after the death of the Shiro siblings, a man named Suzuki Yuto was arrested for the murders. He was a bum with mental problems who claimed to not remember where he was at the time of any of the murders. Most damning of all, he was seen wearing a coat that had belonged to Yamane Akio. A bit of blood on the sleeve tested positive to be his. Yuto, who was raving at this point, claimed that a demon black man with no face had given him the coat. Yuto was eventually released when a homeless shelter 5 miles from the Kai household claimed to have Yuto in their files for the nights of Sakura's murder. Since there was no way for him to get where she was abducted and back without being noticed, Yuto was released. On April 30th, 2008, a producer known as Yugami P uploaded his first song to Nika video, called Hitobashira Arisu, translated roughly as Alice of Human Sacrifice. The song is believed to be based off of the Alice killings. It tells the story of a little dream who lures people into its world, and then goes on to tell the story of each Alice. The song has a few parallels with each killing. The first Alice, depicted as Meiko, was trapped in the woods, which is where Megumi's body was found. The second Alice, depicted as Kaito, was a singer who was shot by a madman. The third Alice, depicted as Hatsune Miku, was well loved, became the country's queen, and was taken over by a distorted dream. The fourth Alice, depicted as Kagamine Rin Len, was a pair of twins, regarded as one Alice. They are described as a stubborn big sister and intelligent younger brother. It also speaks of how they have yet to awoken, a possible reference to them dying in their sleep. In addition, the suits of cards found with each body are also mentioned. Yagami P has not stated for sure if the song has any relation to the Alice killings, but is widely assumed.